Taking responsibility for your emotions and not blaming others. One thing that has been coming up here at the center and my family life, and even in the books that I've been reading, it's just been seeing kind of this pattern over and over. And is the idea of taking responsibility for your emotions and not blaming others. And then connected to that is also accepting yourself to create further or deeper self-love. And if it's something you struggle with self-love, this is the perfect avenue to cultivate that. Is step one, the responsibility, and step two is the acceptance. We do this in phases. If someone says something that triggers me or does something that triggers me, for example, someone interrupts me when I'm speaking, that triggers me. What we don't want to do, hey, that's rude. You did this to me and you made me feel XYZ. What I did there was give them all the power. They control me and they decide how I'm going to feel. That's not empowering. We move that to ourselves. We take responsibility for the fact that I'm feeling this way. Ask myself the 5 levels of what. What about this triggers me? What about him or her interrupting me triggers me? But I got to make sure that I'm not blaming outside, I'm taking responsibility. And my answer, when I get interrupted, it makes me feel less valuable. That's the responsibility part. Now, the acceptance part, and that's okay. Put those together, I'm able to take responsibility for how I feel, and I'm able to accept myself for feeling this way. I go to the next level. Basically, it's just asking the question again. What about that triggers me? When I feel less than, it reminds me of how I felt as a youngest sibling, and that's okay. What about that triggers me? When my siblings dismissed me as a child, I felt I wasn't worthy enough to have an opinion, and that's okay. What about that triggers me? I feel insignificant, and that's okay. What about that triggers me? It makes me feel like I'm not enough, and that's okay. Now, I know the deeper root causes, and I can set the boundaries, but I can also accept my responsibility and not blame the other person. But I set the boundaries in this situation where I'm like, hey, I don't appreciate being interrupted, without reacting viscerally. I'm angry and I'm gonna punch him in the face, because that anger is coming because it's protecting something deep inside. And the only way that I can manage that anger, the only way I can connect that anger is by accepting it and listening to what it's really telling me. This is an opportunity to accept myself as who and what I am, which then allows me to build love towards myself, compassion towards myself, which then allows me to create significance within myself, which then loops around in terms of this is no longer a trigger for me, because it actually triggers me to self-love and have compassion and build more confidence from there. So this crazy loop that happens by you accepting yourself, by you taking responsibility and realizing that you are not your stories, you are not your feelings, you are not your emotions, you are the empowerment of the humanity that's inside you, and you can express that honestly, truthfully, but first it takes vulnerability with yourself. Hopefully that helps when you're feeling triggered. The 5 levels of what, and within each level you take responsibility and you accept yourself, and that will build self-love, self-compassion, and overall more confidence, equals to joy, happiness, and what else can we want out of life? So if you found this helpful, I would appreciate a like, a comment, or just a share. Share with people that you want to share the love with. Peace.